And I think it's very important for everybody to be engaged because that everybody's on the same page.
It's about, who's willing to change gears at the right time.
Go out, go have fun, and just take it to them.
For Wheeling University Athletics, I'm Zach Ziegler. It's time for the first 2025 15th episode of Between Two Props. I'm Zach Ziegler, currently joined by Wheeling University head women's rugby coach Ken Pape. And Ken, time's finally here. You're getting onto the pitch for the first real one this weekend. Talk about training camp and how things have been going for the team.
Yeah, training camp's been great. We've got 55 players in camp and, working their tails off fighting for that, starting spot. Last week we brought it all together. We've had, a good 10 days of training camp, and then we played our first matches against New York Rugby Club in Union. Had a really good showing there. Learned a lot of things. We mixed the varsity and the JV together, so, we didn't really see our full onslaught. But, working through that and working through our paces, getting them game ready, game speed, getting hit by women, was a really good test for them. And, this week it's been, more of the same, getting ready, more preparation during the week this past week, and finalizing some good details there. We made our first team selection for our first run out against Penn State, round one, if you will. So we're really excited about it, man. It's been a great camp, great feel, great energy. Everyone's excited.
And obviously winning a national title last 15 season in your first year, what type of targets does that put on your back this year, and how are the girls going to get ready to handle it?
It's great. I look around the league and, obviously we played Southern Nazarene in the championship last year, and, they really set the bar for us. That was our goal at the whole time, was to face Southern Nazarene in a championship, and to get a chance to face them was great. And they're an amazing team, well coached. But now we're the leader of the pack, and watching Southern Nazarene's recruiting this past year has been awesome. Because every time we would sign someone, they would sign somebody. So, of equal caliber. So, it's exciting because the level of rugby in the U.S. is growing, and where Southern Nazarene had the target last year, I feel like we've got the target this year. We've only graduated one player, so a lot of teams are really gunning for us. We don't hide our game film, so everybody knows what we do and how we do it. And, it's been great energy around the league. It's exciting, when teams call and know that they're facing Wheeling and they still want to face us, and it's great. The absolute want of our players, and them knowing that we've got the target, they're taking that seriously, and they're not going to give it up easily.
And as you mentioned, you only graduate one player from last year, so a lot of veterans returning. Talk about how they've taken on that leadership role and brought these new girls into the fold.
When you've got people like Emma Ty, Alexis Dallas, Bella Galata, Dakota Burgess, Liz Sinatra, Allie Davis, those sorts of players, and, it's hard for you not to be intoxicated with their energy. Their leadership out on the practice pitch, in the classroom, in the locker room, it's all positive stuff. There's a lot of young people here right now, a lot of good freshmen coming in, a lot of transfers are coming in, and, they feed off the energy of these players. Everybody wants to be the next Alexis Dallas or Emma Ty or whatever the case is, next Bella Galata, and now they're seeing what it takes to be that player and understanding that this isn't high school anymore. We hit harder, we run faster, our systems are, very advanced, and, going into 2-a-days and 3-a-days, we're putting a lot of mental pressure on them, and none of them cracked, to see them persevere through that, because of the leadership group, is really impressive.
And talk about some of the newcomers who have come in who have maybe shined during camp or who have really made that impression during these first couple weeks.
Gosh, Zach, you really put me on putting a gun to my head here, but it's hard for me to really isolate one player that's come out and really set the tone. But we've got some really awesome freshmen coming in, awesome transfers, and I don't think I'd be doing them any justice, Zach, if I said one particular person. But I can just tell you this right now: a lot of returners are feeling a lot of heat because this first game against Penn State, we've got several freshmen and a few transfers starting for us. So you look at the team we had last year that won a national championship, those returners are back, and some of them aren't starting this year. That tells you the level of player that we've brought in. So, it's so hard to pick just one. So I'm gonna save that for after the first game. I'll let you decide who you think. But it's been great. The players coming in, they've not missed a beat for us.
You're watching Between Two Props as we get you ready for Penn State this week, week 1 for Wheeling Women's Rugby. I'm Zach Ziegler with head women's rugby coach Ken Pape. And Ken, one thing you mentioned at Fall Sports Media Day is you're really leveling up the schedule this year, starting with Penn State, a team that gave you some problems last year that you ended up getting the win against. Talk about how that increased competition is going to get you ready for making your run again.
Well, I mean, you think about recruiting, right? Like, top recruits don't want to go to a program that's going to win every game by 100, and when we started building this schedule, Angela Smarto was a huge factor, that the former commissioner, and we talked a lot. We talked about Penn State. We want to play them again. We took the Naira D2 runner-up from last year, who lost in the final, Davenport, and we said we want to put them on our schedule. That's a tough game. You look at Navy, that's a tough game. Ohio State was no walkover either. That was a great game. You look at some of these teams, and it's just, Walsh. I mean, that was the most physical game we played all year. UVA, we only beat them by 4 last year. You go through and you put them in positions. You put these players in positions that they have to play good rugby. It only can increase their rugby IQ and the tempo. We want to play really fast, strong teams up front, and we want to build off of that. Beating teams by 100, I don't think either team really gets anything out of that. So, leveling up the schedule this year, it's exciting. And for the first time, we're looking at the schedule, and some of these games are 50-50. Like, Penn State has leveled up too. Going in to play Penn State, we hope we win, and I think, all things being equal and God willing, I think we'll be able to pull that out. But that's not a walkover game. Davenport, they're incredible. They beat us. We tied them in 7s last year, and we lost to them in 7s last year on a final play. They're a good team. I don't know that we're winning that game. I hope we do. That'd be great for the program. But these are going into games. Pete Steinberg, my coach mentor a long time ago, told me rugby's good when you don't know who's going to win necessarily. Last year I would say we knew 95% of the time which teams we were going to win against, and there was that 5% like Southern Nazarene and UVA that we weren't sure, and Penn State we weren't sure we were going to win those games. To now say that most of our games are 50-50 games, I think that's pretty impressive, and it says a lot about the program. And
talk to us a little bit about the Nittany Lions, some of the challenges they've provided you this week, and kind of what we're looking at. They really are an annoying team, right? So we beat them last year in 15s. We beat them once in 7s this past season, and then they just started beating the crap out of us, and that's a hard pill to swallow. For a team that you beat in the fall and then you beat them once in the spring, and then for them to just beat you, that's not fun. They've got great coaching over there. LS is a really good coach. She's always got her players prepared. They've always got good skill level. They're intense. They work really hard. They're a nationally recognized program. Penn State is one of those teams where they're going to knock you for a loop. And Rocky Balboa said it best. It's not how hard you can hit. It's how hard you can get hit and keep coming forward. And that's been our motto for the year. It's how hard we can get hit and keep coming forward. And I think against Penn State, we're going to have to do that. And finally, talk about some of your goals for this first game of the year as a team and kind of what you're looking for out of your girls. Yeah, so we're just looking for some really good continuity. The things that we've been working on all year. The connections, the defense. Defense is our bread and butter. We want to come out and we want to hit hard. That's what we're known for. We're known for our big hitting and our defensive prowess. We want to come out and make a defensive statement. Whatever the score is, the score is. I don't care about that. I just want to make sure that at the end of the day, our defense holds true. And if that happens, I think we're going to be happy with a win. Thanks, Ken. Good luck this week. Can't wait to see you out there. Go Cards. For Wheeling University Athletics, I'm Zach Ziegler.
And I think it's very important for everybody to be engaged because that everybody's on the same page.
It's about, who's willing to change gears at the right time.
Go out, go have fun, and just take it to them.